Hello and welcome to another episode of Voice from the Desert. This is Ariel again, and today we're going to go with a different route. We're going to be talking about suffering. And I think that if you are a human being, that is a very common thing. I mean, it depends on what part in life you are going through, but it is a human experience that almost every single human being on the God's green earth goes through the process of pain and suffering. And we're going to be reading in the Bible from the book of Lamentations, chapter 3. The author of this book is accredited to the prophet Jeremiah. Now, if you know anything about Jeremiah, they call him the weeping prophet because he went through it. Just to give it like a short version of it, he went through a difficult process of. He was a prophet in a time where people didn't necessarily want to hear from God. They were all about appearances. They were all about living their life, their best life now, and they couldn't care less what God's opinion was about this or that. And for that, he was ridiculed, made fun of, and tortured also because he was thrown into a cistern full of dirt. He was left there to die unless someone went out and helped him get it away from that. And he went through a lot of horrible experiences just to keep God's name up and high. He wrote in Lamentations a very lengthy expression of lament. Now, what I like about the Bible, people like Jeremiah and David, that they never sugarcoated how they felt. They expressed very earnestly and honestly how they felt, and they put it in writing. They put it and expressed themselves in writing, saying exactly how they felt. And we're going to be reading here in Lamentations chapter 3 how Jeremiah felt. And I'll be reading from the ESV. I am the man who has seen affliction under the rod of his wrath. He has driven and brought me into darkness without any light. Surely against me he turns his hand again and again the whole day long. He has made my flesh and my skin waste away. He has broken my bones. He has besieged and enveloped me. His bitterness and tribulation. He has made me dwell in darkness like the dead of long ago. He has walled me about so that I cannot escape. He has made my chains heavy. Though I call and cry for help, he shuts out my prayer. He has blocked my ways with blocks of stones. He has made my path crooked. He is a bear lying in wait for me, a lion in hiding. He turned aside my steps and tore me to pieces. He has made me desolate. He bent his bow and set me as a target for his arrow. He drove into my kidneys the arrows of his quiver. I have become a laughingstock of all my people, the object of their taunts all day long. He has filled me with bitterness. He has sated me with wormwood. Sated me, sorry. He has sated me with wormwood. He has made my teeth grind in gravel. It made me cower in ashes. My soul is bereft of peace. I have forgotten what happiness is. So I say, my endurance has perished. So has my hope from the Lord. And all y'all thought that the Bible only contained happy stuff. Needless to say or repeat here, this dude is going through it. And he's not sugarcoating anything. Like, I'm using the ESV, which is a little bit more poetic. There are other versions that speak more clearly. Like, you can get the NLT, and it's probably going to be a lot worse. But I kept the ESV because it keeps it a little bit more poetic, and just to sound it a little bit more nice. But it doesn't sugarcoat anything that this guy is going through it. He's going through pain and suffering. Why am I talking about pain and suffering? Because it's part of life. It's a part that something that we cannot deny. That in life we are going to go through suffering. We are going to go through pain. We're going to endure sufferings of all kind. The Bible does not guarantee us sunshine and rainbows all the time. Jesus himself said, you will have affliction in this world, but rejoice, I have conquered the world. So our trust should be on God. Speaking of which, let's go back now in verse 19. We left off on 18, so let's go back in 19. Remember my affliction and my wandering, the wormwood and the gall. My soul continually remembers it, and it's bowed down within me. But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is his faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. It is good that one should wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. It is good for a man to bear the yoke in his youth. Let him sit alone in silence when it is laid on him. Let him put his mouth on the dust, or in the dust, rather. There may yet be hope. Let him give his cheek to the one who strikes, and let him be filled with insults. For the Lord will not cast off forever. For though he cause grief, he will have compassion, according to the abundance of his steadfast love. For he does not afflict from his heart, or grieve the children of man. We left there off on verse 23. So we started off very bleak and dark, where Jeremiah is just expressing how many years he was as a prophet in Jerusalem, prophesying that there were going to be coming people from out of town, going to knock down the walls of Jerusalem and knock down the temple and ransack the whole city. So he was calling out the people to repent. Nobody wanted to repent. Nobody wanted to pay attention. So he spent years just saying the same message over and over and over again, and nobody paid attention, and he felt like a laughingstock. He felt like he was wasting his time. He felt like he was just being ridiculed. And yet, he says that he still waited on God, and he found hope in God even in the midst of his tribulation. But he's just remembering all that pain and suffering, and he's basically saying like this pain was not in vain. And even saying, although he caused grief, saying God, he will have compassion according to the abundance of his steadfast love. Steadfast means persevering love. So you think you have to persevere in pain and suffering? God also perseveres through our afflictions, through our unbelief, through our everything. God seeks us out as much as we try to seek him out, or we just quit, throw in the towel. He doesn't quit on us. We may quit on him, but he does not quit on us. Pain and suffering is not just for pain's sake. There is a purpose on that. Like, if you want to go into examples, like let's look for the example of the life of Joseph. Joseph was Jacob's and Rachel's son. Jacob had 12 boys, and Joseph was the 11th of those boys. And he was admittedly his favorite because it was the kid that was born out of his wife, the one that he loved. He had 3 other women other than Rachel, but the one that he loved, admittedly out of the open, was Rachel. So since he was the son that he had with Rachel, he loved him the most. So he gave him preferential treatment, treated him better than his brothers. He gave him a coat of colors. So he dressed him up prettier. He didn't give him the hard jobs as his other brothers had. And add to the fact that Joseph was having dreams saying that I dreamt like that the straws that you guys collected in the field, they all bowed down before my straws. Basically saying like they were going to serve him. And that made their brothers even more angry. They're like, okay, so you just think you're going to rule over us? You're going to be master over us? You're going to be our king? What is this? So out of jealousy, they sell Joseph to some Ishmaelites who send him to Egypt. Years pass by, Joseph goes through hell, because he becomes a slave. Then he is unjustly sent to jail, spends years in jail, and then he's finally liberated because he gives a dream, interprets that said dream, and because of the interpretation of the dream that he gives to Pharaoh, he becomes the second in command of all Egypt. Now, some 30 years passes after he had that dream, more or less, and there was a famine in all the land, and Egypt, because of the wisdom God gave Joseph, was the only place that had food back then. So what happened? His brothers had to go to Egypt to get food, not knowing that the guy with the second in command in Egypt, the guy that was actually administrating the food in Egypt, was the brother they sold out. Needless to say, it was a whole ordeal. Joseph later on then he revealed himself to his brothers, and his brothers were afraid because it was like, this dude now, he's the guy in Egypt. He can get revenge on us this quick, so we're good as dead because he's going to get some payback now. Now he has the power to not only do payback, he can cover it up, or he can just do it publicly. It doesn't really matter. He can just do whatever he wants. Yet, Joseph's reaction was, you guys meant it for evil. God meant it for good. Things happen in our lives that at the moment do not make a lick of sense whatsoever. And it is very difficult at the time that you're going through pain and suffering to make sense of anything, because it doesn't. You just feel the pain. You're bent out of shape. You're exhausted. You have no desire to continue to move forward. Yet the reality is, even through that pain and suffering, God is going to do something wonderful. You don't get it at the moment. It is not nice at the moment. It is not wonderful at the moment. But you are in a different perspective, because through that pain and suffering, you're actually learning something. Like, let me tell you something. I can't talk about exercises because I do not have the body or the build for that. But the Bible sometimes talks about the illustration like our faith is tested like gold. Or let's just use materials like, for example, how they make swords. I mean, we've seen enough knife buildings. There's a lot of shows now that are dedicated to knife buildings. And we see how, they have to go through the fire, they're hammered. Like, for yourself, like, if you were feeling that metal going through the fire, furnace, then going to water, then bathed in oil, being hammered, rinse and repeat the process over and over and over again. What are they doing? One, they're giving it form. Two, they're making the material stronger to resist. And three, then they finally then give it, the edge, the purpose for what is made. But it is a laborious process, and it's not easy on the material. Same thing with us through our pain and suffering. Our pain is supposed to make us tougher. Our pain is supposed to make us stronger for the calling that eventually will come and be manifested in our lives. We do not understand it while we're going through the process. At the time, we were probably exactly like Jeremiah when he wrote here in Lamentations chapter 3 that we were reading from verses 1 to 18, or actually from 21. That we don't know, and we just talk about our frustrations. You want to talk about frustrations, you just read most of the Psalms that David wrote, or are attributed at least to David. The guy had, it was just a bunch of blues songs, basically. He was wailing his soul out and crying, saying that I can't take this. I don't know what I'm going through. Most of those songs were written when he was young, when he was being persecuted by Saul, and where everybody was just ratting him out because he was hiding from caves to caves and wilderness from wilderness. And people just ratting him out, say, oh, Saul, look, David's around here. So he had to run again. So he writes a song. He's like, why are the people betraying me? Like, you got to understand, David was like the warrior of Israel back then. Like, every time they went to battle, David was the one that was, I'll go. And he fought the battles for the people of Israel. And the same people that he was fighting for were ratting him out. because they thought they were going to get in good positions with the king, not knowing that the king was unjustly chasing David around because he was jealous of David and didn't want David to. He thought of David as a threat because he knew that God made a calling on David's life and didn't want David to become that person that God called him to be. So he chased him unfairly. And David went through hell all his youth. Then finally, at the age of 37, because yes, he did become king at 30, but only king of Judah. But at the age of 37, he finally became the king of Israel, and where the promise of God manifested himself. But he received that promise well. We don't really know. He probably was 13, 12, when God promised him that he will become a king. So we're talking about some time before this happened. So why am I talking about the pain and suffering? Sometimes you got to go through pain in order to be prepared for that which you are called. And to be called is to be equipped. To be equipped is to be prepared. And to be prepared is to go through the training. You don't send soldiers to war without going through at least training, to at least be accustomed to weapons, to be accustomed to go through uncomfortable situations. So when the true calling comes in and you can live it out, it's because you've already been prepared. You've been ready. And that only happens when you've been through pain and suffering. Now, Jeremiah got on the job training, like he was going through it at real time. Some of us do have to go through it. Well, everybody goes through it in real time. But the thing is, where is your trust? Where have you placed your hope in? The pain also teaches you not to focus on your own abilities because, and I'm speaking here from experience, I suck. I have no valuable input to give you other than wait on God, which sounds so cliche, which sounds so like religiously appropriate. But the reality is that yes, you have to wait on the Lord. You have to wait on God. You have to wait on what He has in store for you. You have to wait on Him. You have to wait on His promises. You have to wait on what He has said about you. And it depends on Him. It depends on us if we are willing to obey and get ourselves out of our way. So the process is to be determined. I wish I could say it ends quickly. I wish I could say that your pain will be over soon. I don't know. But what I can tell you is there is a necessity to that pain. There is a method to that pain because that pain prepares you and equips you for what's coming next. So I'm going to leave it to there. God bless you all. I hope this is something that edifies your life, and I hope that God speaks to you in a way through this. God bless you.